Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Mafex Daredevil comic version, and I have to tell you guys, this one, we're gonna go to school today. There's a little bit of lessons we have to learn here, because this figure is surprisingly well done, and that's even for Mafex. Like, they typically do a certain level of good lately. They didn't start out that way, but mostly their figures are really nice, but lots of problems. This figure might be their best release. Granted, it's like the most simple design short of Nightwing, but it is exceptional for Mafex, which means it's a pretty exceptional release overall. So there's going to be some talking we have to do. We're going to do some comparisons to similar figures, or at least one, and we're going to see what we can come up with by the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. I like this one more than some of the other ones, even with this little like dot design here. The coloring I like more on this one. It's a good looking package. Decent artwork up here, though we'll have to come back to that in just a second. But yeah, it's a good looking package. Window at the top and front, and the figure's front and center. Decent enough posing. Their photos, they're kind of like Marvel Select or Diamond Select in that their photos tend to not do their figures justice. His are okay, especially on the back, it's fine. I like the back of their packages a lot. The way they do the collage of poses, it's nice. Yeah, it's a good looking package. Maybe it's a little dark, maybe they did that on purpose, but it's a good looking package. Now, before we go on to the figure, if they don't do a paint job like this on Daredevil, because they did one similar to this for Spider-Man, if they don't do this for Daredevil, I'm gonna be salty. I want that, because that's what I want him to look like. But still, this figure is really good. Let's get this out of the way and get into it. This guy is popping in and out of in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, so if you want to track one down by the end of this review, I suggest you do it. Okay, so this guy stands just about 16.5 centimeters. That's going to be pretty close to 6.5 inches. Here he is up against Darwin, so he's got a little bit of height on him. He could easily be mixed in with your Marvel Legends if you wanted to. And hey, what do you know? I happen to have a Marvel Legends Daredevil right here. And he is taller. Now, it's school time. We're going to do a lesson. I had somebody comment the other day, and this was such perfect timing. He said, "You always talk about Mafex being too slender, but it's okay because it's their style, but you always tear Marvel Legends up for being too slender." And I'm like, no, that's not what I do at all. I mean, sometimes Marvel Legends figures are too slender, but that's not the problem I have. This is the perfect comparison. This guy is probably too slender slightly, but that's the Mafex style, and if you don't like it, don't buy it, but that's the way they make their figures. It's a very slender build, but still heroic, and this is the perfect example. This guy's taller than this guy. This guy is more slender than this guy. This guy has a smaller head, smaller feet by a lot, way different proportioning in the shoulders, arms, torso, everywhere. This figure looks infinitely better than this figure. This looks like a comic character. This looks like a slouchy nerd in cosplay with a muscle suit on top. Look at the shoulder placement. Look how big the head is. Look at this one. This looks like an actual comic character. He might be too slender, but his body is shaped correctly. This guy is more muscular, but his body is shaped horribly. That's the problem. Big heads, big feet, slouchy shoulders, narrow chests. Small heads, small feet, high shoulders, broad chest. It makes a difference, guys. I've been saying this for like a decade now. Marvel Legends don't look like comic characters. This does. Okay, that's the difference. It's not about strictly muscle mass. Lots of Hasbro figures have nice big bulbous muscles, but they look like crap because they're not sculpted well. So, moving on to just getting into the aesthetic on this guy, easily one of their best builds. Maybe he needs a little bit more meat, I would say probably. Again, that's just the way Mafex does their figures. If you don't like that, don't buy it. Just like Storm makes their figures really chunky, or at least they used to. I don't personally prefer that, but it's their style. It depends on how well they execute it. This one is executed well. The muscle groups look pretty darn good. The weirdest thing, I guess, would be right here, but it's not too bad. And he's got really nice proportioning, nice and heroic proportioning. I love it. And they did shading throughout, which they don't normally do, and they did it really well. Like, sometimes their figures have it, but not always. This guy has a lot. So even if you don't get like that comic shading, which obviously we don't have it here, he looks really nice. He's covered in it, and he's not glossy. He's got a little bit of sheen to him, but At most, it's a satin finish. It's really nicely done. The painted and sculpted, by the way. Boots. Nice differentiation. It's nice and clean. Same thing for the gloves. The belt is painted well. The double D on his chest, painted really well. I was just looking at one of the Fat Batmans, the one that came on the horse. His bat logo is clean enough, but it's not painted anywhere near as well as this. This might be the cleanest figure they've released. His face is pale, but still looks nice. The eyes are painted well. It's a good sculpt. The lips have a little bit of color on them, if not just like a wash in the crevice. It's a damn good looking figure. This is what comic characters are supposed to look like, even if he's slightly slender. You're going to be able to pose, assuming it's well articulated, which I think it is, but we'll get into that. Assuming this poses well, this is going to look so much better than this. It's not even close. Look at the sunken in chest with the weird boobs that tuck into his armpits funny, and the high rib cage that sticks out, and the low shoulder. Like, it's not even close to a proper look. It's not even close. The Hasbro figures look ridiculous. In other words, that we're not allowed to use on YouTube. Okay, so aesthetically speaking, I don't know how to improve this, other than like little things like change the color tone on the face a little bit for the flesh tones. You know, things like that, little adjustments, but this is excellent, and I could not care less about Daredevil. Let me be clear, he's not one of my characters. He's fine, I don't have anything against him, I just don't care. I have no bias going into this. One person told me the other day, I have bias for Marvel Legends. The other one, you have bias for... I don't have bias for anything other than good products. This one's a good product. I mean, in terms of brands. Obviously, I have my own favorite characters like Batman, but I tell Batman figures they're bad all the time. So anyway, point being, this looks great. 9.8 out of 10 for the aesthetic. There's a few things here and there you could tweak some, but this is damn good. Like, easily one of the best Mafex figures I've handled. I've handled quite a few at this point. In fact, I wish we had a Batman that was up to this level other than the Fat Batmans. This is better than the Nightfall Batman. Okay, moving on to accessories. We have a good spread of hands. Everything you're going to need. I can't think of anything that's missing. Really? Yeah, nothing's sticking out for hands. That's good for heads. We have the neutral head that comes on them in the package. We have the angry head, and then we have the yelling head. Those all look good. We have a couple of alternate stick sacks. That's definitely not the official name for that, but that's what I'm calling it, for his leg. And then you get two individual sticks, one with the lanyard thing on it. Then you get two bendy sticks with the wire in between. One that has the candy cane and one that's just two sticks. All awesome. The bendy sticks, I'm sure people are going to love for photography. For those of you who aren't doing photography, maybe get into one good pose with that and it's going to look like a comic cover. Or at least a panel. It's good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I don't like to unbend them, though. I have an OCD thing. Anyway, really good accessories, and you get the Mafex display stand. What more do you need, other than like a swoosh effect or something? That's a lot of stuff. 9.5 out of 10? So far, they're firing on all cylinders. Why can't this be a Batman? This is better than all their... It's better than all of the figures I've reviewed from them so far, I think. Okay, let's see. Maybe it doesn't pose for crap. This is probably the closest thing to this guy is Nightwing in terms of satisfaction, but Nightwing wasn't as fleshed out as this one. Let's see. All right, double ball peg in the top, single ball peg in the bottom. Yeah, he's going to be able to move his head around sufficiently. Maybe you could get a little bit more out of the neck, but at least it's seamless. I mean, there's no gapping, so that is good. For the shoulders, I'm guessing they're going to be Nightwing levels. Yeah, they're going to move like Nightwing, so that's good. He can raise his arm up, he can put it down, he can shrug it a little bit, bring it across the chest effectively. They go back nicely. Yep, wonderful, wonderful shoulders. Mafex is known for doing good shoulders when they do them like this. This is no exception. This might be even better than Nightwing. Maybe it's the same. I don't know. Really, really nice. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, no problem. Not ugly. That's the way you do it. It's always better to let the lower part of the arm do the heavy lifting. If you look at this joint... You look at this joint right here. Where can you get information like this? By the way, guys, how often do you hear reviewers talking about where the joints should bend in the elbow? Anyway, this is the way to do it. You put a little bit of the bend in the upper elbow because that's where the bicep goes, and then the rest of the bend in the lower part of the elbow, and you get a really nice bend that doesn't break the sculpt, and that's what they've done here. It's very, very nicely done. All right. I don't know, maybe other reviewers do talk about that stuff. I don't watch them. Couldn't tell you. Ball hinges. In the wrist, those work nicely. And then for the torso, let's see, is the torso gonna torso the way we want it to? It looks nice. Can it lean back? Okay, it does lean back. It gets gappy. So be aware of that. You want to not go too far back and hide that gap. You have that choice. But so yeah, it does lean back. That's okay. And leaning forward, not bad. Like, there's a decent amount at the top. We'll see in a second how much the lower adds. Leaning to the side is really nice, so that's good. It's nice and stiff too. That's what she said. Moving this around this way works. The swivel is okay. Now let's see what the lower can do. Oh, it leans back nicely at the lower. Leans forward some. So let's see. Let's use both. Yes, he leans back nicely. Using both joints, leaning forward. Not as well as I'd like, but it does lean. It doesn't lean very well, but it does lean. And then, of course, side to side, you're going to get even more, but he's got plastic in the way, so that's okay. And, of course, your rotation. So, yep, torso's good. This rotates to get out of the way. Also, it's on a peg to remove, so obviously that can get in the way for some posing. That's understood. So let's just remove it for the posability section here. Without using the drop downs, because it doesn't affect the hips going out to the side, we have near splits. So that's really good. And then using the drop downs, which I still don't prefer, but Mafex does them well enough, he can kick pretty high. I still think that the hips are Mafex's weak point, but his are decent for what they are. And then they don't go back too far. So yeah, they're fine. Thigh swivel is going to matter. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. By the way, his joints are stiff, but they haven't been like getting stuck or doing slip sticking or anything like that. So that's a good thing. You might not need to lube this guy up. For the knees, they work nicely. His proportioning is almost spot on. They're definitely getting better at bringing these legs to where they need to be. So that's a good thing. Yeah, good range, good proportioning, or at least good enough. The ankles go pretty far back, pretty far forward. Ankle rocker on that ball hinge is super. Not much you can do more than that. That's good. Toe hinge on this guy. Not the best toe hinge we've ever seen, because it starts really high up on the foot on the front there. But at least it's functional. It's not too loose and you don't get any weird chunking. So that'll work. It's a weird toe hinge, but it's not a bad toe hinge. So his articulation is good. It is what we want it to be. I still don't like the way they do their hips that much, but it'll be fine. All right, so articulation's good. I will go 9 out of 10. It is very good. A little bit of room for improvement, but this guy will pose, for sure. Okay, time for the final verdict. This is how superheroes need to be made. And I don't mean it needs to be a super expensive figure. All Hasbro has to do, like, you can accept Hasbro for being a lower end figure, but there's no excuse for the weird sculpt and the weird proportioning. That doesn't affect the price, other than you have to pay somebody who's good enough to do it. Or be good enough to care about what they're sculpting. So that's the issue. It's not about, oh, this is more expensive, so it's better. That's not the comparison I'm making. It doesn't cost Hasbro more to not make their figures look stupid. That's the point. Anyway, this one's really good. Easily one of the best figures I've reviewed, bar none. I mean, it's a good figure. There's not much to do to fix it. Some few adjustments here and there, but excellent, excellent, excellent release. Overall rating, 9.8. It's really, really nice. So that's it for me. It ended up being a little bit of a long video, but let me know what you guys think. It's easily one of my favorite figures of late, and I don't care at all about the guy. So anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.